What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Salted Coffee Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brian Koenig. With me is Devin McCann.
Hi.
Paul and Justin are not here tonight because they're working like a couple of chumps on a Sunday.
Who works?
So fuck them.
Yep.
And in their place, we have our special guest, Shane McCann.
Hello.
Older brother to Devin, so yeah.
Indeed. Facts have been spoken.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So today we're going to try a little something different. Normally we go around each with a various topic. This week we wanted to do a game-centric podcast.
Yep.
So the three of us each have a topic focused around video games and the video game industry.
Who doesn't love games? This is going to be a great episode. It's going to be the best episode of Salted Coffee Podcast yet.
Maybe.
At least top three.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, do we just want to get into it? Or
Sure, yeah, let's dive right in. Or unless, you know what, let's do this first.
Okay.
Shout out to our beer of the week. We're drinking Harp, premium imported lager from the makers of Guinness.
It's not a craft brew.
It is not, so it's a bit of a departure.
We were a bit lazy this week, so we just went with something easy.
Yeah, it's hard to go into a liquor store and just pick out at random. So I got a recommendation, I went with it, and here we are drinking it. So Harp. What do we think?
It's good. I've had Harp before, but yeah, it's a standard lager. It's cool, refreshing.
It is. Yeah, I actually
not
really
too
enjoy
hoppy.
it. Yeah, it's like a good blend of not being too rich or too light at the same time. It's like a good...
It's a good balance.
Yeah, it strikes balance. So I actually think I might throw this into my regular rotation of beers.
Cool.
So, which is not a very prestigious bunch.
Michelob and
Michelob,
Bud Light Platinum.
Bud Platinum, Bud Light.
It's not like you're drinking Natty Ice or anything like
and then
that.
Harp. And I'm sure Corona is also really good.
Well, Corona's fine, yeah.
I've got to get around to Modelo next time. Actually, that's why I was going to buy Modelo when I went to buy this. And this is because they were sold out.
But this shiny blue label jumped out.
Yeah, so...
eye-catching.
Well, I went with...
most boring label
with
I've
Paul
ever
Z.
They changed their label. It was
Yeah.
originally like a green label with like a golden harp on it.
seen. See, I
Hence
feel
the
like that
name
would
Harp.
be better. This is the most boring label I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's...
But
I don't know.
it's
I
still-
think the silver
Not
and
that
blue,
appealing looking.
it's a nice...
It's not about what's on the outside.
futuristic look. It's nice and chic.
It's minimalistic.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, in a good way. Not
we'll go
the
with that.
dots shit.
We'll go with that. Whatever makes you sleep better.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Harp. Pretty good. I'm a
Not
fan. You might make the rotation. I don't know yet.
4.5% alcohol. It's a little stronger than a standard.
It
beer.
is. Yeah, that's another good positive thing about it.
Yeah. Get you drunker a little faster. I'm okay with that.
I don't know, I think 4.5 is pretty low.
Well, what's the general
compared to what you normally
a
get.
Well, sure. For like a domestic light beer, it's like
Three, I
three
think.
and change, right?
Yeah, I think it's 3.
So this isn't really much of an upgrade.
No, but you know what? For every 3 of these you drink, it's like drinking four or 5 of the others.
Yeah, but with Sam Adams, Sam Adams is like 5 or 6, and it's pretty hefty.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Yeah,
pretty good.
so
Whatever. I tried
this
to make
kind
it
of reminds me of
stronger.
Sam Adams a little bit. Oh, you know what this reminds me of more than Sam Adams? Labatt. That's a really good one too that I haven't had in a long time.
Yeah.
Labatt and Labatt Blue, or Labatt Blue Light. Excuse me.
I think I read
Both very good. I'm a fan of those. Canadian beers as well.
Canada has good beers.
Is that where this is from? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Canada.
It
You
is.
know.
Yep.
Well, no, you learn something new every day.
So yeah. All right. So there's our beer shout out for the week.
Video games.
Now to the video games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we just want to go around and talk about what we're playing lately, or
Yeah.
have
Let's
played?
do that first. So who wants to go first? Like, what are we playing lately? What have we beaten? What are we engaged in at the moment? Well, not this moment, because obviously no one's playing anything.
I got my 3DS, so I could bust that out and play. I've had a lot of free time lately with being fired from my job, like I said, so I've had a lot of free time. I've been trying to go back into the stuff, like the games with gold games I gave out for free.
Mm-hmm.
Recently started playing Deadlight. It's actually not bad.
I haven't tried it.
It's a little challenging, but
that's a side-scrolling.
Yeah.
I think I played a demo of that.
Yeah, it was. What did I read? It was supposed to be like Shadow Complex, I think it was, and something else. But it's not excruciatingly long game. It's challenging, but the checkpoints are forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it that. So I've been on that the past few days because I've over 100 360 games and I can't pick one, and that's terrible. And I probably have 30 or 40 of them I've not played.
It has to be like the mood has to strike you. Like when you're staring at your shelf of games, you're like, "What am I in the mood for?" And you're like, well, I don't want to play Mass Effect because I don't have that kind of time. I only have an hour or two. I don't want to get sucked in." So then you're looking at a game. Like I had this the other day where I was scrolling through my list of digital games on my 360. Tons of gold with games that I've never games with gold games I've never even tried. And I actually popped in Army of Two Devils Cartel for a bit, which I actually had already beaten on PS3, but I just wanted the achievements. So, but yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, got 50 extra gamer score
from
that session.
Deadlight was good with the achievements. I only played for like an hour and change, and I got like 150 points.
Wow,
that was a quick boost in the gamer score.
It's a good, time to achievement ratio.
Yeah, no, that was. I'd recommend that one, especially for the price.
Price of free.
Yeah, I mean,
well, not anymore. It was probably $15 or whatever.
I don't even know. I think it said 2012 it came out, so it's been a few years.
Right.
But hey, free is better.
Yeah, it was probably on sale. Yeah, sales all the time. So
yeah,
every week.
But that was on my 360. That, and of course Smash Brothers on the Wii U. Always have 10 minutes of free time. Why masturbate when you can play Smash Brothers? It's a better use of your time. You'd be more productive in the long run. I don't really know how that...
That's in the eye of the beholder, but...
Yeah, it depends on your definition of productivity. So if, you want to unleash some semen, then that's productive.
This is true.
Unless you're doing both at the same time. Or if the Smash Brothers fix gets you off, literally, as well.
Yeah. I had a kid in middle school or early high school that used to use the Rumble Pack from N64 to get his willy off.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not making that up. He lived around the corner, and then he was like an Asian kid or something, I think, and which I don't know why that's relevant, but he told
those
me
Asians, they love those Rumble Packs.
Maybe tinier space.
Maybe he helped create it.
Yeah.
Maybe he was the maker of the Rumble Pack originally.
Yeah, I doubt that because we were like 14.
Maybe his dad was.
Yeah.
His dad was Iwata.
Yeah.
Oh, rest in peace.
Too soon. Too soon.
It's never too soon.
But I've had too much free time, and it's just, I'm the same way. I look at the shelf and go, oh, I can play that. I only have 30 minutes before I have to do nothing, so I don't know. So I bounced around, but, those free...
It's hard to commit.
Yeah. Because you have so much stuff to play. The backlog is insane.
Fierce.
Yeah, that's what I've been on lately, mostly. The past 24 hours or so is Deadlight, Smash Brothers, and...
Word. Okay.
I tried Crisis.
Crisis.
The first one.
Crisis is good.
Briefly.
So, Journey came out on PS4 this past week.
Yeah.
So, I missed out on PS3 and all the games. So...
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Me too.
So I brought it, downloaded it, because I heard great things. Sat down. I was by myself.
I assume you
turned the
beat it
lights
in one
off,
sitting.
sat down, beat it in one sitting.
Yeah.
And thought it was wonderful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was expecting your reaction to be the opposite.
At first it was like kind of jarring because wasn't what I was expecting at all.
Had you heard a lot about the game?
I've heard a lot about the
3
game,
years since it came out.
but I wasn't really sure how it played and what the goal of the game was.
Yeah.
All I heard was it's good.
It doesn't really tell you what to do. You kind of just head towards it. Like there's like a shining light coming out of a mountain.
Like had to go to the horizon, basically.
Yeah, and like on the way, there's other players.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
very
encounter.
passive, kind of.
And at first, I saw like another character, and I thought, oh, there's computer characters.
It's like an NPC, yeah.
It's not an NPC; it's an actual person.
Yeah.
So I teamed up with somebody. They don't give a name.
Yeah.
So you're just journeying with some random
Yeah,
traveler.
some random,
And you have nothing to communicate with but like these little chirps and chimes.
It's like I think it's like triangle or whatever, right? Like you
Circle-
press it.
circle, I think?
Is it? Yeah, and it gives a little sound, and it's supposed to like call the player over to you if you need help with something or whatever. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I enjoy
it's fun. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's great.
I played it when it came out on PS3. It is a short game. Can be beaten in probably about 2 hours, maybe even less.
Yeah, I think I beat it in like hour and a half.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't get all the glyphs or anything to like
Oh yeah, I didn't
lengthen
either.
your scarf. Which is what you
Yeah,
used to
I
do.
just focused on the story. Of it.
Yeah, I at first I kind of cared, and then like once I got into like the journey, the story, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
really
it's-
care, and just
Yeah, it's very nebulous in terms of story, if you even want to call it that, because there's no real, like you said, it doesn't tell you anything. There's no real objective. You're just kind of thrown into the sand, and all you can really do is like
you kind of make up
float,
your own story,
jump.
your own meaning behind the game,
yeah.
which I like.
So I mean, it really resonated with a lot of people. Me, not so much. I kind of was expecting your reaction to be like positive, but maybe somewhat disappointed in terms of the hype that it's gotten over the last.
I definitely
several
think it's
years.
overhyped.
Oh, sure. It was a Game of the Year winner for IGN in 2012.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I mean, does it even classify as a game? Really, it's more just an experience.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So, and I actually really enjoy some of those indie games. Like I actually played Rain recently.
Yeah, that's
It
free
was-
this month on
it was,
PS Plus,
yeah,
right?
and I was really impressed with it. I thought it was great. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I have to go back and do some trophy hunting,
But yeah.
but you know.
I also got a God of War 3 remastered because I
Yeah.
missed out on that also.
And,
This is all leading up to my topic,
okay.
and yeah, I got that. It's just
Did you beat it?
I didn't beat it. I'm still in the beginning. I
Okay.
played a little bit today. It's more God of War.
Sure.
Nothing has changed from 1 and 2. It's just prettier, and
Why fix what's not broken, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Going back on it, it's just I don't know.
Is it
It's fun.
nostalgic at all, or like
Not
oh, I
really.
remember God of War
I just feel
and
like
God of War 2
I've
were
done it
good.
before, and I'm like, well, this is just more of the same. And Kratos isn't that great of a character now that I look back on it, because when I played 1 or 2,
Yeah,
I was
he's-
still in high school, and I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, he's
so
obviously
badass.
very one-dimensional, and that's
And now
that's
I
the main
now I
criticism.
play it, I'm like, he's just
angry, all the
always
time.
angry.
Well, I mean, the gods have forsaken him. You'd be pretty
I don't
angry.
even
too.
remember like what happened. And
See, that's the problem. Is like because like God of War and God of War 2, they were remastered for PS3 in the collection, and then
Right.
again in the Saga collection, if you will. But they didn't come to PS4, so I think it would have made more sense for them to do a trilogy or just port the Saga over.
What?
Maybe.
Because 3 is a direct sequel, like moment to moment.
Yeah.
So, like, if you played God of War 2 when it came out, which was 2006, I believe, or 2007, maybe even.
Yeah. It's near the end of the PS2.
It was. I know God of War 2 came out on PS2 after PS3. It was already out.
Yeah.
By, I believe, like a 6-month window or so.
Really?
Yeah. So, if you played God of War 2 on your PS2, you're talking, it's been about 8 or 9 years. So you're not going to remember the exact story unless they have a background feature, like
No,
previously
they
on
didn't
God
even
of
have
War.
they didn't have a background feature or backstory. But what happened was I didn't even know about this when I brought the game.
Mhm.
I brought it digitally
Okay,
because I was too lazy to go out to the store and get it.
yeah, $40, right?
Yeah, it's $40, and then I got 2 notifications saying that I have God of War 1 and God of War 2 free rental on PlayStation Now.
Ah, cool.
Okay.
I'm not going to play it because I don't really want to play it, but I guess it's a nice feature for those who
I
haven't
didn't
played it
even know that.
before.
That's
Maybe
really
people
cool.
haven't played it before.
Yeah.
To kind of give them a chance to experience the story
Interesting.
from the first 2.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So that kind of resolves that issue there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
all right. So it's more of the same, but you're
But it's, yeah,
you like it.
It's a good time.
God of War 3 was. I mean, I had been out of games for a couple of years. Like I was playing the same old games over and over again.
Mhm.
So when I got a PS3, I got God of War 3 came out in March 2010, which was about, I don't know, 4 months after I got my PS3. So I was super amped about it. And I beat it probably in like a day. And,
Wow. How long is it?
Standard single player, action adventure
8 to
game,
10
probably
hours?
8 to 10 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably 8 to 12 maybe, depending. I don't know if you want to do everything.
Because I'm trying to beat it as fast as I can.
Yeah.
Except other games.
Yeah.
Because I started,
Plow through it
in addition to
quickly.
what else I'm playing, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Yeah. That looks awesome to me.
I don't know.
Uh-oh. Is it boring? Is it boring? I know it's like a walking
It's one of those
simulator, first-person
random
exploration.
walk-in simulators.
Yeah.
And you kind of use a detective sense to solve puzzles.
Okay.
I'm kind of regretting my purchase.
Well, that was only $20 though, right?
15 or 20, I forget.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna beat it because spent the money on it.
Right. Yeah. So.
But I don't know if it's my type of game. I don't know if I'm huge into those types of walking simulators. I don't even know if I want Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, which is kind of similar to.
Yeah, I don't know much about the game other than that it's highly anticipated.
Yeah.
That is a PS4 exclusive, or is it PC?
It's on PC. I think it's on
PC.
PC right now. I think.
Okay, so it's more
I think
reported.
they're bringing it to PS4.
Okay,
yeah.
That was their big thing because
Yeah.
it was popular on the PC enough.
Same deal with the Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Same deal
Yeah, that's been out already.
for a good year plus. I
Yeah.
think. So.
But I think I just need more time with that. I only spent like a half hour playing it.
Okay, so early impressions aren't.
Those are my early impressions.
necessarily
Are like
positive,
kind of
but-
lukewarm, but
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. So, anything else you're playing lately, or just that? I know you just got back from vacation, so
yeah, I'm still in Danganronpa. I got a good chunk of that done when I was on the plane.
2 or 1.
2.
2. Cool.
So I think I'm.
I'll have to borrow that from you one day. The first Trigger Happy Epic.
I only have it on digital.
Oh, you suck.
Yeah, I know.
I guess it was on sale then.
Yeah, it was on sale. I got both of them on sale.
Okay, cool. I've been hearing that they're starting to get rare, so.
I think I tried looking for them physically. I couldn't find it, and then they were on sale on PSN. So
You probably have to
fuck
just fork the cash over and pay the $40 on Amazon or Play Asia or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been playing a ton of stuff lately because I did the 7-day trial of PlayStation Now. So I had been streaming. I played probably 50 or 60 games over the past week. Just popping them in and playing for like 20, 30 minutes each, just to get a sense for games that I had never played before.
And free trophies.
And free trophies. I earned well over 100 trophies in the last week just by playing games for free. So that was awesome. I actually raised my level up to 21, so I'm pretty happy about that. 16% on my way to 22 already.
I think I'm at 5.
Nice.
I've got about 4,500 plus trophies at the moment.
My God.
Oh wow.
And continuing to grow pretty much every day. I got 4 more trophies in Lego Batman this morning, so feeling pretty good.
I'm only at like level 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes up.
Wow.
It starts quick, like you level up pretty quickly in the beginning, and then once you get like 15, it's a drag, it's a grind.
Yeah.
So
It's already been a drag for me, and I'm only at 5 or 6 or somewhere around there.
you'll all get there.
But I don't.
Never surpass me, but you'll raise the level.
No, but I don't. The good thing about getting into the PS3 so late that I did, I could care less about the trophies. I play the game just to play the game.
Yeah,
It's
it's a good thing too about joining a console cycle like late.
right.
Is that you just get so many good cheap games.
Yeah.
Like you just
Oh,
many games cheap.
Between the PS3 and the, like you said, you paid $40 for the remastered God of War.
Yeah.
I bought it for $3 a couple weeks,
For a
like a month ago,
for
for a physical copy of the game.
Well, on PS3, right?
On PS3,
Yo, yeah.
but it was
It's essentially the
$3.
same exact game,
Which is really, in
Without the
hindsight, if you really think
minor
about it,
visual
it's
upgrades.
stupid because I already owned the game technically with the God of War Saga.
Mhm.
But I gotta have my separate, it's a separate game. I need a separate package for it. Otherwise, I can't count it in my collection the way I do.
Yeah, inflate the numbers.
Sure, why not?
Semi-artificially, but
Yeah, in theory. if you want to count my actual collection in terms of like
See,
game packages that have 2 games in it, I don't. Count
I don't think
they're
I could
one
do
package.
that. Like like, let's say I have Red Dead Redemption, whatever the Game of the Year edition.
Okay.
So, like, I'm not going to go out and then buy the base game and then Undead Nightmare on separate discs just so I can say, no, now I have 3
No,
games.
well, sometimes, like,
You know
that's
what I
silly, because Undead Nightmare is essentially just DLC on disc.
Is it? I don't know. Does
I
it play
believe it
off
is.
the disc?
Yeah, it's on disc.
You can
too.
play it off the
Okay.
disc, but I think that's more for people who just don't have hard drive space or would rather have a physical copy. I don't know. But
Yeah, or just
I believe
like
it
zombies
is
and don't care about the main story.
that too.
Because
you
that was
know,
obviously that. When did that come out? 2011 or so. Like zombies were huge then, and they're
Yeah.
finally dwindling, thankfully.
Yeah, and which is I played Red Dead Redemption and I hated it. I know I'm far in the minority with that. Hated the game.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan either.
Awful.
But I didn't give it the
I fucking love that game,
proper
man.
time of day. You know,
But then
I
again-
played for like an hour and I was like, eh.
I know.
It's-
I
it's
You
get
guys,
it.
you guys
GTA
don't
in the
like
West,
open world games. So.
No, not at all.
No, yeah,
So
you
I-
know how I.
The sense of direction is minor, and it took me like 5 or 6 hours of what most people would get in an hour. Like, because
I thought
need
the
to be
opening was
pointed.
fine when you're entering the town and
But
stuff.
they do show you where to go, though. If you
Kinda.
look on your map.
Yeah, kind of. But then there's all this,
Oh, sure, objective
all the side
markers,
quests
yeah.
and stuff, and it's just you don't know if it's necessary. I need at least some sort of and like the thing that pissed me off the most with that game was your horse had brakes. Like most
brakes,
games,
same thing.
No,
Most horses
No.
have
Like
brakes.
if you're driving a car and you take your foot off the gas in the game, like you lose the trigger, your car
Right.
still moves, but it slows down.
Oh, he would just stop
If
completely
you're
then.
if
or-
you're driving your horse, you're riding your horse, you need to actually hit like the left bumper or something to make him slow down. Otherwise, he will not stop. He'll just keep going, which really irritated me. I'm like, why should I have to put the brakes on my horse? Like, I should be able to let off the trigger or whatever button it is to move.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that from a design perspective, where they're thinking, well, we don't want the player to have to hold down the button the whole time because there's so much traveling between.
Yeah, and I think
locations.
if memory serves, you can shoot your gun while you're on the horse.
Yeah, you
like,
can.
Okay, so they need to free up the buttons then so you
Yeah,
can
but
aim
like
and
if-
shoot. So that doesn't make sense.
But if I want to aim and shoot, I don't need my horse going at full fucking speed. I want my horse to slow the fuck down so I can shoot.
aim, yeah, of course.
I'm especially because I don't believe that game had like the snap-on reticles or anything like that. So like,
Yeah, snap to target or
Yeah,
lock-ons or
and-
whatever,
and it's
like
just-
like Call of Duty does. It
Yeah.
makes the game so much easier.
well, it does. It's. But you know what? It's been like that since they started with Z targeting back in like Ocarina of Time and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It helped, and something like that where it's a 3D, 360 perspective. Sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
Call of Duty where it's a first person, maybe not so much. They just wanted to make it easier, I think. But with Ocarina of Time, maybe you needed it a little more. But it is what it is.
All right. So
Oh, yeah. So
back
what
on
else-
track.
Yeah. So what else am I playing lately? I mentioned this earlier. I'm playing Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham on Vita. I'm also playing Child of Light on my brand new PlayStation TV, which I got last week. I finished Game of Thrones Episode 5, Nest of Vipers,
Oh, yeah.
which just came out on Tuesday.
Yeah, I finished that too.
What'd you think? Was it really short?
It felt short.
Like really, like way shorter than every other episode?
I think time just flies when you play those games.
Yeah, okay.
I think
I loved it.
Really?
I love that game, and I do not
you
watch
don't.
the show.
You don't like Game of Thrones, or
I don't watch the
You
show.
don't watch it.
But I
So you
was
have-
like, if Telltale makes a game, I'm buying it. That's.
I think this is their weakest series. I'm not saying that it's bad, but I
Mhm.
think it's just not as good as like Tales from the Borderlands or. Walking
I actually
Dead
I bought the season pass for that game, but I didn't realize you have to buy episode 1 in order to buy the season pass.
Oh.
So I can't play it.
Unless you
So,
buy the first episode.
When episode 1 goes free eventually, I think that will, when I download that because that's like the base game then,
Right, yeah.
and everything else counts as
Mhm.
DLC, then I think that will unlock everything.
Yeah.
So I hear that's an amazing series.
Yeah, that's-
like amazing.
That's one of my
season.
favorites
With
so far.
super witty humor, and like I'm really looking forward to that too.
But I'm surprised you like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's not even just so much that I don't, like I said, I don't watch the show. I'm not really into medieval themed stuff. It's a huge turnoff.
Mhm.
But like I hate Skyrim.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the game itself, but like even if it was like Fallout, I find more interesting than I do Skyrim because it's a different setting, it's a different theme, different backdrop. So like it's more intriguing to me Plus, it's more of a shooter than it is a melee game.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
But the Game of Thrones game, the way they tell their stories, hence the name Telltale, is just unrivaled, I think, in the industry of how they tell stories and how they make you make meaningful choices. Like, who did you choose at the end to stay behind?
Well, spoilers for anyone who hasn't played the game, but
it's been out for like 5 days.
5 days. You have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't want to know, just cover your ears or mute it for a few seconds. But I chose Asher.
Okay, I didn't. I chose Roderick.
Really?
I did, and here's why. He's crippled, first of all. So he was formerly their best fighter of House Forrester, but it obviously no longer is and can never be. So his value is questionable. As a leader, sure, it's there. He's the Lord. He's the dude. But he can't fight, and also when you have Asher and his new allies, I guess, his new army that he recruits. There was a scene where he's talking on the boat to Beska, and they're talking about how he's going to get them to listen to Roderick once they get to House Forrester. And he's like, oh, that's a good point. Like, I should tell them that Roderick is my brother and that they have to not.
See, I told her that
with him.
They'll just listen to me. Like, I'm going to be their.
Oh, so you chose a different option.
I chose a different dialogue option.
I was like, oh, good point. Maybe I should say that to them. And then I thought about it, and I was like, what if I can't convince my new alliance here that they need to trust Roderick and listen to him? And then I was like, well, I need this army to fight for me. If they don't fight for me, our whole operation is screwed.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I chose Asher. Plus, I just like the character better than Roderick.
Yeah, he's a headstrong, like, tough.
He's tougher, and he has a sense of humor.
Hero guy. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah. That was my choice. I stand by it. I feel like I have substantiated reasons behind the choice. Which I really appreciate their games, that they have these moments where you can kind of almost predict it's usually at the end of an episode because they want to leave you on that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And you sense it coming. You're like, oh, this is the big payoff here. This is the big moment. What's going to happen? And then as it's about to happen, you're like, fuck, they're going to make me choose. And it's like, I had to pause the game, and I stopped, and I had to think about it. And I was like, this is a really powerful decision that is really going to drastically alter the progression, the future of this game, and like my experience with it. And I was like, I need a second to pause and decompress and think about how I want to do this and move on. And that happens a lot with a lot of their games.
Another choice in that episode is you find out who the traitor is.
Yes.
Did you kill him?
Yes, I did.
I did kill him. So did I.
Was it Royland for you, or?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, me too. And I fucking hate that guy. He's a dickhead.
Actually, I thought it was the mate.
I thought it was going to be Duncan.
Yeah, I thought it was
going to be Duncan. I was like, if it's Duncan, I don't want to kill Duncan because I like Duncan. But Royland, I was like, oh, fuck this guy. Like, what a dickhead. He's always calling you out and like making fun of your executive decisions, and like, I just don't like that. Like, you're not the Lord. Shut the fuck up.
But that was a hard decision for me too. I spent a good couple minutes pondering, asking Meg what I should do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, also, another game I've been playing lately, before we move on to our first official topic, was a game I played called Contrast, which is a PS3 and PS4 game. It was a PlayStation Plus game.
Yeah, I played a demo of it.
The month the PS4 came out, or the month that they introduced PlayStation Plus to PS4, which I believe was probably December of 2013. The game came out in November or October of 2013. It's a 3D/2D, I'll explain later, platforming game about this young girl and trying to figure out who her dad is, and then there's drama with her parents and stuff, and it was just a very it provoked a lot of thought and curiosity. Like I didn't finish the game because it was I was playing on PlayStation Now on PS3, and my trial actually ran out the day that I was playing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I actually finished. I stopped at the end of Act 1, and I was like, I don't want to continue with this because I want to buy this game.
Right.
It was just great. It has these sections where, like, you're scrolling around, you're running around like it's a 3D little environment of a small town in like 1920s, like late night show business,
Mhm.
basically. And then it has other sections where you basically you mesh into the wall and you become a shadow, and then you have to platform on other shadows. And sometimes you have to manipulate the environment and move things around to create shadows in order to progress.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a really awesome, fresh take indie game that I enjoyed thoroughly. I got all the collectibles in the act, and I got like 12 trophies in an hour, and I was happy. I was pretty happy about that. So, awesome game that I very much look forward to actually buying one day.
Yeah, I played a demo of that when it was on PS4, and it was alright. It was cool, but it didn't really hook me.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. It really
It's
it didn't
interesting.
blow me away, but it was like to the point. It was one of those moments where like I had a game and I'm playing it, and then I'm enjoying it, and I didn't want to stop playing it. Because usually, like I'm like, oh, at the end of the level, I'm just like, all right, it's time for bed. Like I couldn't stop. Like I was really having a great time with it. So, yeah,
Cool.
it's a contrast. Great game.
Okay.
So, all right. So let's transition into our personal topics for the show.
Woo.
Yeah. After that elongated session there, that intro.
Yeah, quite an intro there.
Yeah,
So-
a half-hour intro.
Okay. So who wants to go first
Fuck it,
with their gaming-centric topic?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
You have to talk last. Mine was physical copies of games versus having digital copies of games, and which side of the fence you reside on. I'm one of those people that is very firmly, I don't want to say very firmly against digital, because there is a reason for it, and it can be valuable for stuff like indie stuff, but I would much rather have a physical copy of a game, regardless if it's something that came out last week or last decade. It doesn't matter. Because I look at it this way: if I bought a game on my 360, if I went home right now and bought a game on my 360, it's mine. That's great. But if my 360 ever breaks and I decide not to replace it, that shit's gone.
No, not
it's not
necessarily.
gone.
It's linked to your account.
It's linked to my account, but if I never replace my 360, which is insane, I would never not do that. That's
Right.
completely out of character for me. But in theory, somebody else, like, it's gone. Like, if you don't
Right.
replace it, or if you don't renew your Xbox Live, that's gone. You know, you'll never play it again. Whereas, if I bought that same game, a physical copy, I went down to the store, even if I paid $5 for it or $50, and I hate it, especially if it's digital, if you hate it, you're screwed. If I bought a copy of that game,
Yeah.
and
No
I-
refund policies or anything.
Exactly.
And
You're
no
beat.
trade value or resale value.
if I decide that I don't want to keep the game, or I beat it and it's like, okay, was a good enough game to beat, but am I really ever going to play it again? I'm going to want to sell it back
Yeah.
on eBay.
Yeah, recoup
because
some
Yeah,
of
stuff
that.
that's what I
suck
do.
it, but
Yeah.
I would rather take that game I spent $50 or $60 on and turn around and resell it on eBay for $30 or $35, because then at least I got to play the game and got half my money back, if not more. And if I do want to keep it, I always have it. As long as I own the system, it's mine. And if I ever, God forbid, fell into hard times,
Mhm.
I can always resell the game. And every game I own is complete. So, like, an old N64 game I have that's just chilling, I need a quick $50, I can just get that $50 real quick. Whereas if I have that same game, if I bought the same N64 game on the Virtual Console on the Wii, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So it looks prettier on the shelf, and it's far more valuable long term.
Most of the time, I try to go as physical as much as possible. I like the physical act of collecting things and showing off my game collection. There's a rare chance where I'll buy digital, like in this case with God of War 3 Remastered.
Yeah.
I tried to get it physically, but GameStop's site was being a stupid piece of junk and wouldn't let me buy it. So
Not GameStop being a bastard.
So yeah, I was home Monday, coming back from vacation, and I didn't feel like going out, so just downloaded it digitally. Like an hour it took to download, but
Yeah, there's a convenience
but
factor.
it's convenient. It sucks because I can't sell it. I can't return it.
You're stuck with it.
Yeah,
Especially
I'm
like,
stuck
if,
with it.
Yeah, if you buy a game that you don't like, then you're screwed.
And I don't like digital because it takes up a lot of space on my hard drive.
Yeah.
I'm already running out of space. I maybe have 100 gigs left.
Okay.
And
That's like 2 games.
I had to delete a couple of stuff just to put God of War on there because God of War was about 40 gigs, 50
Wow.
gigs. It's a good chunk of
Yeah, right.
space right
Yeah,
there.
Get pissed off when there's
hard drive's
10
only
gig
500
install.
gigs, so.
So yeah, it's only 500 gigs. I know they're making a 1 terabyte model,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of pissed. But
That's why I'm glad I waited.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the 2 terabyte one to come out. And the super slim.
So I had to delete a couple of small indie games I got off of PS Plus that
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't play.
Right, but you got them for free, so it's not the end of the world. But
Yeah, exactly. And if I do want to play,
yeah. I mean, the odds of you not liking God of War 3 are going to be low, but like, say somebody who wanted to pick up Destiny, that got a ton of hype, or Titanfall, for example, those were 2 games that got a lot of hype.
or if they brought the order
And
digitally,
Like some people.
yeah.
and it turns out to not, like, I already know from reading reviews and stuff, like, those 2 games are not going to be something that's for me.
Mhm.
So I can make an informed decision to go, this isn't the way to go. But for people who do buy it, like, if I didn't do any research and just said, and I heard people say, oh, Titanfall's going to be great, and I bought it for $60 and it sucked, I'd be really pissed off because I can't return it, and it's now filling up my hard drive, especially at $60. Like, the most I've ever paid for something digital that I can go to the store and buy was like $4, maybe, and that was, I don't even know why I did it. I mean, probably maybe something that was harder to find. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
it's so infrequent that I do that. 90% of the games that I have digitally on my 360 or my PS3 were free through
Mhm.
various outlets. Same thing on my Wii U. I have like the Zelda HD Wind Waker thing. I got that for free.
Right.
Which, because it's a remaster, we'll worry about that later. But I haven't played it. But
I just don't know like how if digital is going to wind up being the future.
I
I feel like most people still go to the store to buy their games, especially people
For now.
who don't play
I feel
games
like
as much as
it
we
is
do.
the future. It's going to be, but
Yeah.
there's an argument to be made for like, well, what happens when the servers go down and you can't make purchases? Or
Exactly.
Like you're not paying for the game itself. You're paying for the license to play the game, basically.
Right.
So like
at their convenience.
right. So like a
Essentially.
good example of like I didn't really realize that so much until I moved here, and we didn't have internet yet.
Mhm.
Like for the first couple days or whatever. So when I plugged in my PS3, I was like, awesome, I'm going to play something. It needed to connect to the internet to authenticate my account information. So I couldn't do that, so it wouldn't let me play any of my own games.
None of them. Or
Well,
just ones you paid for?
off a disc. For PlayStation Plus games, we'll say.
Okay.
I don't remember if I tried it as an example or a game that I owned digitally that I actually paid for. I don't really know offhand. I can't see why that would matter. But you never know. So, you're just paying for the license to play the game. And, like you had said, like if your system breaks, you have to buy a new system in order to access the content again. That's a problem. Whereas with the disc, like, okay, yeah, you could lose a disc or the disc could break, but you can replace it pretty easily.
And
you could resort to eBay, and spend a few bucks on a disc if you really needed to.
Yeah.
But like I concur with you guys that physical is the way to go. It tends to be cheaper. The price depreciates for physical copies of games much faster than digital purchases do.
Yeah.
That's pretty true across the board. What's something that came out recently? Batman Arkham Knight.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably hop on to Amazon, and that's only been out for a month.
Yeah,
something like that.
Like a month and like 3 days or whatever. And you could probably go on Amazon and buy it for $40 already.
Probably.
Yeah.
So if you want to buy it digitally, it's going to be $59.99 all the time for the foreseeable future, really, for the next like 6 months or so, unless they have like a Black Friday digital sale on PlayStation Store or whatever.
Which is possible.
And so, and even then, it's going to be
$40,
$40, $30.
50% off is probably the best bet.
So, with there's an extra market, and there's for people that buy a game and then resell it to you, you get it at a reduced cost, obviously. You can recoup some of the investment that you made when you buy physical and then resell. So I think digital purchases are great. They're a step towards the future, but at what cost, really? I think that they really need to... Like, what happens in 2020 when they announced the PS5 and the Xbox 2, we'll say? Now... At what point did they shut the servers off for PlayStation Store on PlayStation 3? Right. Or even PlayStation 4 at that point? Obviously, it would probably be many years in the future beyond 2020. Mm-hmm. But for PlayStation 3, obviously the numbers of people still playing on that regularly are dwindling by the month.
But they're there.
But they're still there, and you can still go online, you can still play games, you can still buy games, and do everything you would normally need to have an internet connection to do. So then the question comes like, well, the PSP online store is going offline soon. But you can still buy your digital PSP games from a PlayStation 3 or a Vita.
Right.
This is a problem, though, with PS4, because if the PlayStation 3 store does go offline eventually, then that's it, because there's no backwards compatibility, there's no emulation. So you can't buy those games or just re-download them on your PS4 and you're fine. It doesn't work like that. Whereas with PSP, I'm like, oh, well, whatever, I lost those downloads, but now I can play them on my Vita instead. I still have access to them in some shape or form. Mm-hmm. But with PS4 and presumably PS5, that's not a road they're going to go down. So that's a problem, and that they also have issues with retailers, where they need to make deals with retailers like GameStop and Target and Walmart, etc. They have partners. Like Sony and Microsoft will have deals with retailers and retail partnerships that they need to, that they're contractually obligated to comply with. So they don't want to burn those bridges. So I think there will, maybe not always, but for the foreseeable future, the next 10, 15 years, you'll always have that where you can go to a store and buy a game on disc. But it's a dying market, I think. You had said that you think the majority of people still buy their games on disc. I do, definitely. We all do.
Right.
But I think that we will be in the minority sometime in the next couple of years.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Yeah.
Everything is going digital, and it follows the same path as did movies and music.
Yeah.
It's really the same thing, and they digitize it, and everything, it became MP3s instead of buying a disc. Well, you could still do that, and there's always a market for that. There's a market for vinyl.
Yep.
But they moved in that direction, and then it became, then you can download MP3s. You have the files. Then it was, now you can stream the files. And they've done the same thing with video with the advent of Netflix and stuff. It basically started as a DVD rental service that became a streaming service, which still offers the DVDs to probably...
It's small.
I can't imagine. Like, my mom would probably be the only person in the world.
My mom gets the DVDs.
She would.
Or actually, she's starting to stream now. Because I brought her a Roku. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, our mom probably will never ever stream.
Yeah, like she doesn't know what the internet is.
Yeah.
So
She was already 75.
There's a market for that, but
it's
it's old people who don't want to, go with the times.
right.
People who are stubborn and don't understand how to use, modern technology.
And it's one thing if it's a convenience, like with the music thing, especially with music and movies where it takes up shelf space and
Sure, yeah.
they don't necessarily have resale.
I have an 80 gig phone. I have tons and tons of albums on here.
Right.
Already.
And same thing, I have an iPod that's got thousands and thousands of songs on it.
Mhm.
But it's far better for that versus having all those songs on CD where you're talking, if I have 8,000 songs on my iPod, I can, even at 10 tracks, you're talking 800 CDs.
Right.
That's crazy. That's a lot of room, and the way the market has gone, CDs are essentially worthless as resale. Because
Oh, sure.
I can turn around. Some stuff will maintain its value. Your bigger bands, your like Led Zeppelins and stuff like that, which is not really how many Led Zeppelin CDs were there at the time, but like around the late '80s, early '90s, when CDs became more popular, around the time of like Metallica and stuff like that, where they were putting stuff on disc, or Green Day or something like that, where you can get CDs. Those might still maintain value, even if it's $5. At least there's something. But that's going to be far in the minority. You're going to find a lot of CDs that you can't give away because they're almost an inconvenience to people.
Yeah.
whereas a game is something, as we've seen with lately in the past 5 to 10 years, where the retro market has really rebounded huge. I don't know if that has something to do with like
there's been a major uptick in the value of games
and
from
I don't
the
know,
SNES era and beyond.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's because of all the fact that you can buy them all digitally, like the virtual console services from Nintendo, and
it's kind of surprising.
You know.
Like you imagine, like Earthbound fetches a pretty penny, and that's been since re-released on Wii U as Earthbound Beginnings, which came out within.
No, that wasn't the same one. Earthbound Beginnings.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But
they did re-release it.
The original one was the original Earthbound, as released in America.
US. Yes.
Was made available on Virtual Console
about
a year or so ago.
Yeah, I feel like last summer.
So and it's probably $10.
$10, I believe I paid for it.
Now, if you want to buy a cartridge of that on Super Nintendo, it's going to cost you, I don't know
almost
the amount.
$200.
We'll say $200.
Only.
Yeah, and that's never mind if you want a complete copy. So there's a market for people who want their games completed and whatever. It's convenient and it's readily available and it's cheaper, and that should really bring down the value of the physical copy if you think about it, because it's so much easier to get now. You can you don't have to do anything. You just plug in your system, connect to the internet, and buy it.
Yeah, $8-10.
Right.
I can get it,
and it's the exact same experience, a safer, more protected experience, really, because you don't have to worry about the battery and the cartridge not saving your game.
Right.
Or you tap the system and the screen goes blank, or your controller gets tangled up and then you kick the system out of the wall by accident.
Right. But if you're a smart gamer, those things don't
You have
happen.
to blow the dust out of it. Yeah.
Which is
of
actually
course.
bad for them. I learned that.
Yeah, I heard.
It's bad because you're blowing. There's little bits of saliva that gets on the contacts. It's actually bad to blow that.
It worked though.
What are you supposed to
It
do?
did.
Are you supposed to do I've heard people use
Cotton
Q-tips.
swab with alcohol. Rubbing alcohol works wonders. I used to sit down probably twice a year and clean them all out, like N64 cartridges, and they were disgusting. They were really disgusting because they were just sitting in a box. But now, since all my games are complete, they're in their cardboard boxes, and I don't have to do that anymore. But I did be like a loser in my room at 18 years old, cleaning all of my Super Nintendo cartridges with a cotton swab and rubbing alcohol. But I did, and most of them work. There's a couple of games I have where the battery is crapped out, but it's games that I've overplayed. Games that will be brought up later on, I'm sure.
Word. So, are we ready to progress?
Move on.
All right. So, topic number 2. Brian, we'll let you go.
Okay. My topic is HD remasters.
Which there have been a ton of lately.
I feel like this generation has just been
Totally
chock full of HD remasters.
Oversaturated, yeah.
And that is mainly because there's no backward compatibility on PS4 and Xbox One.
It's a way to profit off of it. It makes sense.
Even though Xbox One at E3 announced that there is backwards compatibility, depending on
the game and the publisher.
If they get an agreement with the publishers,
but they're bringing it there. That's the important thing.
Yeah, they're trying, and I admire that.
But how much will you really use it though? Like you have a 360, you could just pop on your 360 and play. Like,
right, I'm keeping my 360 until Xbox One has almost full backwards compatibility.
Yeah. But even that is minimal the way they described it. How you pop the disc and it triggers a download.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have over 100 360 games. Like
you would run out of space.
Absolutely no chance I'm redoing that. I will always have my 360, but I have a PS1.
I don't think I'm going to sell my 360. But either way, I mean, I feel like maybe it's the hardware limitations, but I feel like it's mainly for the sake of making money.
There's no question.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm guilty of buying HD remasters mainly because I missed out on PS3 because I had a 360 last generation.
I think that's the value of the proposition.
I have The Last of Us on PS4, which is I think it's a validated remaster.
Yeah, there's situations where it makes sense.
And I brought God of War 3. We talked about that and Journey. But
I can see where sometimes it makes sense, but a lot of times it's like you're remastering a game you made 5 years ago.
Yeah, with God of War 3, I mean, I'm glad I get to play it, but at the same time, it's like...
I think one of more
it's too soon.
Egregious examples is Tomb Raider Definitive Edition.
Oh, God.
Where that...
wasn't that on Xbox One and PS4, and then they remade it again?
No. It came out
it was on 360
March 2013 on PS3 and 360, and then I think January the following year. So it was less than a year where they re-released it on new consoles. Which is obviously they just want to maximize their return on the game in order to greenlight the sequel, which was probably already in development anyway.
Sure.
So they had been disappointed with their sales of that game, but they wanted to boost it a bit. I just don't understand. Like that's not a good example of. It's just wasteful resources, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
From the development teams there.
And I know like there's PlayStation Now, but. A lot of games I want to play, like Beyond Two Souls and Last of Us and God of War.
Too,
It's not on PlayStation now, so I don't.
I thought it was complete library.
I have no desire to rent those games. They're not on there.
Well, right. Well, because you can't.
Yeah, they're remastering Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls for a double pack.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna buy those because I want to play them.
Yeah. So. Both solid games.
I just wish they were on PlayStation now.
Yeah, and that would make your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
But that would make your decision easier.
Yeah.
To do it that way. But
sure, you could spend $20 for a month rental, and then.
But they're not going to do that because they're going to make a lot more money the other way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll never happen.
I think.
Which is surprising because I think Uncharted 2 and 3 are both on there, but yet they're still doing the Nathan Drake collection. One of them is on there. Maybe it's Uncharted 2.
I don't know. I haven't looked because I don't really care.
Yeah.
If it's on there.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what you're remastering. I think to remaster something that was just from the previous generation, especially one that's still ongoing, even though the PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii era is dwindling, it's coming to an end slowly, I don't really want to rebuy Halo 4 again.
Yeah.
Like, to do what? You made it a little bit prettier? Like,
not really. They just upscale a few things.
Right, which is silly, but something like as I mentioned before with the Wind Waker remaster, that's a huge leap. You're going from the GameCube era, skipping the Wii era, and making it for the Wii U. I'm aware that Wii U is not the most powerful machine, but the GameCube wasn't either. So you're taking something that came out in 2003 and remastering it to a console 2 generations, and people who are just buying a Wii U and don't have a Wii cannot play that game any other way, which is essentially the same thing you're saying with God of War, but you're going 2 generations back. You're remastering or GoldenEye when they remade GoldenEye.
Like
the 360, you went back 2 generations to the N64 and remade a game.
You essentially have to skip a generation.
And they're doing that with Final Fantasy VII.
Right, and that one makes sense to me.
That one makes sense.
Even though you can get it, I believe, on PSN.
Which
Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah.
You know, you can still play it.
PS1 Classic.
But to remake it, that makes sense. You're talking about a game that came out in '97 to 2016. It comes out. That's a huge leap, and you're making actual differences with the game, which may prove unpopular in the long run. But it makes sense to remake something because it came out so long ago. Because with that one, especially, that's 3 generations prior.
Right.
You know, you're going back 3, whereas with GoldenEye or Wind Waker, you're going back 2. Those, I think, make more sense. Those systems might be harder to come by, you know, especially with like with the GameCube or the N64. Like, there was no backwards compatibility with the GameCube to the N64. So, like, for you to be able to play GoldenEye, and you don't have an N64, you have to buy the remake.
Right.
Unless you plan on going out and buying an N64 just for one game, and buying an N64 and a copy of GoldenEye, even if it's cartridge only, is about $100. You know, whereas N64 is probably $60 to $70 for the system, and and another $30 for a cartridge only copy of the game. I might be off a few dollars here or there, but I believe you might be able to get it on the virtual No, you can't.
I don't think so.
Because they had a problem with
They're making it available on the Rare Replay collection on Xbox One, but as far as I know, that's the only other way to get it.
But that's to play it in its original form, I believe.
Right.
Otherwise, you need the N64 cartridge.
Yeah.
So to remake something like that, I could see that. That's a huge uptick in graphic from the 64-bit Nintendo to, I don't even know how many bits, a 360 and a VR and all that stuff, but it's thousands, I'm sure, in comparison. But those, I think, make sense. But to go from Halo 4 and 360
I think it's pretty easy to tell. Like you said, like when you're skipping a console generation, that it makes sense. And it makes sense for people who didn't own the system, like you didn't have a PS3, so some of those PS3 games making the jump to PS4 does make sense. But then there are examples with, like I said, Tomb Raider and Sleeping Dogs as well. Another example of a game that shouldn't have been remade because it was only a year or two later. It hasn't been. There needs to be a respectable gap of time in between. Because I mean, if you cared, you played it already. And
unless you couldn't.
Is there a chance that there's, some people who are like, oh, I never played Sleeping Dogs, this game looks cool, and they've actually bought the definitive, re-release? Like, yeah, there probably were a few people, but, like, it's pretty easy to tell, even by the naked eye, like, which publisher is doing it just for the financial gain, or if they're, obviously all doing it for that, but, it's...
primarily for it.
Yeah, or if it's more of a... for them wanting you to experience games for
the first time.
Yeah, for the first time because you missed out on it. I really doubt anyone missed out on
Tomb Raider.
Dogs. And Tomb Raider was also a PlayStation Plus and Xbox games with both games. So like, you have no excuse, and like it's dirt cheap now. Like,
I think I paid $8 for GameFly for Tomb Raider.
Right.
So I'm not going to pay them $50 for it.
But like they recently announced, what was it?
Gears.
Well, I'm sure there's the Gears.
The Gears, Dishonored.
Yeah, Dishonored was the one I was going to mention, and like, it has no really sure it obviously has like an update to it, the textures and resolution or whatever. Sure. An upscale to 1080, but I'm sure it was probably only at 720. On PS3 and 360. But like they're not really doing anything to it that's making it drastically different. It's just a repackaging and reselling of the game. Because they had a Game of the Year edition as well as the vanilla base version on 360 and PS3. Right. So they already have a bundle with all the DLC. You really need to buy the bundle with all the DLC again 2 years later. But at the same time, it's a cash grab, but that makes sense because Dishonored 2 is going to be a next-gen only game. So, yeah. So I think there are reasons to support both, but it's usually pretty obvious when it's just a cash grab.
Do you think like they'll die down once we get later into this generation?
I do because the first we're approaching the 3-year mark when the consoles came out. The Xbox One, it'll be 3 years in November. So I think they really just needed to fill the gaps because there were not a lot of big first-party games out of the gate.
Yeah.
You had a few launch titles, and then that was about it. And even now, like each one has maybe about close to 10, maybe, of first-party console exclusives for each platform.
Sounds about right.
So,
give or take.
yeah, and none of them have been particularly exciting. A lot of them have been cross-generation games where they're not fully taking advantage of the new gen console power.
Right.
So you're not really getting any new experience that screams, this is what this generation is going to be about. This is the upgrade that we're making from last gen to new gen. Nothing has come out that really says that yet. So I think they're filling some gaps, filling some space, and just re-releasing games to make it through to survive
so
until
next year.
Next year is probably going to be
for PlayStation at least.
Yeah, I mean now games are really starting to come out that are new gen only, if you will, current gen only, whatever, however you refer to it. With games like Just Cause 3 and Mad Max and Rock Band, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero, I know, is on PS3 and 360, but Rock Band is not.
And mobile.
And
we can't forget that.
Everyone's going to dive right into that.
That's what I want to do: is sing my phone in public.
And then, even early next year, you've got a lot of games like Mirror's Edge Catalyst is coming in February, and Deus Ex, Mankind Divided,
right?
And there's plenty of other games that are only PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So I think next year is really when you're going to see it start to explode. We've already had it explode with the announcements,
right?
But as far as actually
seeing the light of day, sure.
So I think that's when we'll see a few more here and there. Like they announced within the last few days that they're remaking Open Sphere for PS3, PS4, and Vita. So that's kind of under the radar. Yeah,
it's great.
So like they just keep coming. Like I never played Open Sphere, so
I don't have it either.
Yeah,
don't care to.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's about, to be honest. Other than that, it's from the makers of Dragon's Crown. Been aware. So, and supposedly they make good games like Remaster Rebirth. So, but anyway, that's my take on it.
Okay.
So, final topic. Is what are your top 5 favorite games of all time?
So far.
So far, yeah. They don't have to be the best games. They don't have to be the most critically acclaimed games. Just games that you spent a lot of time with, had a lot of fun with, and mean something to you. So, go. Anyone?
Me? Okay. So I'll start at the number 5 spot and go up to number 1.
Are you ranking them?
I didn't
5
rank
to
them.
1? I didn't rank them either.
Yeah, I'm ranking them.
Okay.
All right.
Gone hardcore on this. So at number 5, I put a Pokemon Gold and Silver version.
Okay.
It's
an honorable mention.
It's probably my favorite Pokemon game.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, oh yeah. No
I'm a hardcore Pokemon fan, and I always will be, even the new ones.
I have Pikachu socks on and a Pikachu lanyard, so
Oh my god.
I'm right there with you.
But yeah, I think Pokemon Gold and Silver were my first Pokemon games. They had a huge effect on my childhood, and
there's the age gap.
I remember beating. I forget, what was it? Kanto? What was the region called?
Kanto. The first
Johto and Kanto.
Johto and Kanto, and I remember beating that part, and it opened it up to the original region.
That was exciting.
I was like, holy
shit! 16 freaking badges.
This game just started again almost.
Yeah. I mean, you can easily blow through that Kanto region
it's much
10% of the time, but you could still do it.
Right.
With minimal resistance from the game, and that was exciting. I agree with you on that one.
And there were some cool Pokemon designs. Houndoom being my favorite Pokemon ever.
We want to dress the dog up as Houndoom for Halloween next year.
That's awesome.
She's all black, and it will not be challenging at all. And we're losers like that. But anyway.
So, and number 4, it's not really one game. I put down the Mass Effect trilogy.
Okay, that's fair.
But I would say number 2 is probably my favorite out of the 3.
Okay.
I think that's the same for most people. I love those games. I just love the universe, the characters, and the story throughout all three games.
There's a lot of exposition and characterization in those games that kind of help you get invested in it. So
Right.
I only played bits of 2. I probably put 10 to 15 hours in it.
Yeah.
I never played 1 or 3. But I liked it.
1 was the hardest game.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And 3 was like almost a straight up shooter.
Yeah, so I probably like that one the best.
Probably.
Yeah.
Not the ending though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed with the ending to that series.
Yeah. Well,
But
what about the DLC they released for free? Was that better?
That didn't help at
No
all.
closure, no.
There was like a little bit of a closure, but it didn't help.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Can't win them all.
Yeah. Number 3, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Never played it. That's a
I
PC
never
game.
did.
Is that like
No,
an
it's on
MMO?
No,
Xbox.
it was on Xbox.
Oh, okay. Original Xbox?
Yes,
Yeah.
original
Okay.
Xbox. And I think it's on PC and Mac now.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's.
So it's like $5 on like the Mac store.
Oh,
And I think
okay.
you could get a physical copy of it back then too.
Yeah.
In addition to the Xbox,
Right.
since they had Xbox Live.
But yeah, that was one of BioWare's early games
Mhm.
before Mass Effect and
Okay.
all those other games that they made.
Was it an MMO?
It was a Star Wars RPG. It wasn't an MMO. It was offline.
Okay.
It took place a couple thousand years before the events of the original movie.
Okay. I've never seen any of the movies.
Yeah,
I know
it's hard to talk Star
last
Wars when no one here knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but
I've never seen
I-
any of them.
I've seen the original 3, but I probably saw them when I was 10 or 12 years old.
Mhm.
Didn't really take to them too much, and I did not see episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
So
well, you're better off.
yeah, that's what I'm told. But I only watched them each once, and it wasn't really my thing, which is weird because it's not nothing against like the space stuff. I like Star Fox games, and I enjoyed the hell out of Spaceballs, which is a spoof, but I just couldn't get into it, and that's weird. I guess I'm told, but okay.
But yeah, it was a great game. Story was one of the best I've ever experienced in a video game, and there's a huge twist I didn't even see coming. I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah, we're not.
Those who have played the game know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I'll probably never play it, so.
Yeah, it's safe. But anyway.
Spoil it right into it.
Number 2 is Alan Wake.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
That's probably on my
It's actually
list.
on my list too.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, with games, I'm really big into story. That's mainly
Yeah,
why
okay.
I play games, just to experience the story.
Oh
So Alan Wake, I thought, had one of the best stories.
yeah.
Twists and turns, and the way it was kind of framed in a TV show format. A lot of inspiration taken from Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah.
I actually went back and watched the show afterwards.
Twin Peaks?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. So
Oh,
I didn't finish it, but I got into
I get that.
mid season 2 or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I didn't play American Nightmare,
I did.
but I heard
I
it.
did.
Yeah.
It was good. It was I guess for the the fact that it was really add on. It was kind of short. You can beat it in 3 or 4 hours.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a big world that you're traversing. It's like 2, maybe 3 areas if memory serves. It doesn't add really anything to the story, but it's like playing a separate game.
Right.
It's like a mini sequel, I guess. I haven't played it in a while.
Mhm.
When
Yeah,
it first came out,
it-
it was good.
It seemed kind of half-assed that they just they reused the same environments multiple times, where you would just return to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I
and
remember
do
playing the
different
demo,
things.
and I was just like,
You went
I
back and forth.
I don't want to
between
play
2,
this
3
because I'm
areas.
afraid.
Yeah,
I didn't want to play it because I was afraid it was going to like ruin the
Yeah.
Alan Wake story for me. I didn't,
yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the-
Until we get a proper sequel, which I think we will eventually.
yeah.
I don't.
See,
If
I
you
like to
catch
think
it-
that.
I don't want to touch it again until that time
If
comes.
you can catch it on a sale for like $5, it's worth a pickup.
Okay.
I think full price was 15 when it
Yeah.
first came out, and that's what I paid because that's what I wanted. But it's one of the things that I only buy digitally that I was actually happy with my purchase
Mhm.
because I was only going to get it. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's one of those occasions where
I'll
I'm
make
not
an
opposed
exception.
to paying for a digital game if that's the only way you can play it. I'm not going to not play it just because it's digital. So
Right. No, of course not.
what's number one for you?
Number one is The Last of Us.
Oh snap! That's on my list.
Oh man, all right.
I didn't rank them though, so
Yeah.
I didn't think that.
That's fine. But I think that's probably the only game that's probably made me cry.
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually started replaying it about 2 weeks ago. I'm only like 2 hours deep because they had the Left Behind DLC on sale. So
The Left Behind DLC is great.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it was awesome. I probably spent 2 to 3 hours going through that, and then I was like, you know what, this is amazing. I have to play it again. And that the first 20 minutes.
Oh, the first 20 minutes, like
incredible. Like
it was some heavy shit. Yeah.
I've actually will just randomly YouTube the scene just to watch it again because it's so incredibly done and well acted.
Yeah.
So.
And the ending to that game probably, I don't know, I felt empty, which was a weird feeling. I don't know if empty is the right word, but.
Mm-hmm. I like that they didn't make it.
It left a mark on me like the next day when I was going to work. I was just like, fuck life.
So I like that it wasn't anticlimactic, but it didn't have like some major like. I mean the very final scene where they're talking. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I don't know if we want to spoil it because I know he hasn't played it.
I have played the game. I haven't beat it, but
okay.
So yeah, that final scene, which then I won't, divulge into, but like where they're just talking, and then he just to her face says what he says, and then the game ends like that, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, I didn't expect that to happen.
That took some nuts, and I was happy with that they didn't make it so dramatic. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where they didn't feel the need to have some crazy cliffhanger. Is it a cliffhanger? Yeah, somewhat. But it leaves it open where it's not to the point where like it's begging for a sequel. Like if they left it as a one-off, it'd be perfectly amazing the way it is.
They're definitely gonna make a sequel. Though.
Totally. It's
still makes so much fun. I thought it was.
There's been rumors.
That's what I heard.
Somebody had like some concept art on like a CV somewhere.
But I know like other people said this. So like if they just leave Joel and Ellie's story the way it is, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, and I agree. They could make Last of Us 2 with brand new characters, and it'd be probably great. I kind of want to have them continue though with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get pissed off if they do that
because they can really continue that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's options to explore that.
Oh man, I have to be a hater. I couldn't get into it.
I thought that because when I bought God of War Ascension, it included a code for the demo. And I played the demo. Like, going into The Last of Us, when I saw the E3 reveal, I was blown away. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to be the most amazing thing ever. And then when I played the demo, I was underwhelmed. I was disappointed. It felt more of... there was a little bit more exploration. And it was short demo. It was like 15 minutes long. Like, it was just... it was a part early in the game where, like, it's showing off how to... use the stealth mechanics, and then you're foraging for I want to say scraps, but whatever the official name of was the item that you used to craft, supplies, whatever they called it. So it was really underwhelming, and it was really short, and like I couldn't get a hold of the combat, and like I died like 3 times in the opening thing, and I was just like, whatever. But then having played through the game, I actually played through it. I didn't marathon the whole game in one sitting, but I did play it in about 2 or 3 sittings, and the final sitting was about 10 to 12 hours straight.
Thank God.
Because I just couldn't stop playing it because it was so gripping.
Must be nice not having a family. You can do that.
No, I had 2 jobs at the time, and I was on a weekend, and I just sat there and I just plowed through it, and it was amazing. So like now that I went back and the multiplayer maps are free now, so I went back and I played some of that and got some extra multiplayer trophies, and then I played through Left Behind. And I was like, you know what, this game needs to be played again, start to finish. So That's a great choice. Like I said, also on my list. Before we transition to whoever wants to go next, I have to pee.
Okay. Pee break.
So we'll take a pause.
Alright, so I'll go ahead with my top 5. I guess I'll go reverse order also. Number 5 I had was actually Alan Wake also, but an honorable mention, since that was already talked about, was something I sunk a lot of time into and still do to this day. So Tecmo Super Bowl, Super Nintendo. I can pop that in and play through an entire season in a weekend because you can play through a game. It was just, it was ridiculous how easy it was to like dodge defenders and stuff. It was horrible in hindsight, but that was to this day my favorite NFL football game, any football game for that matter, to this day. So that's technically number 6, but Alan Wake we already mentioned. Number 4, it's actually Super Mario World.
Okay.
I know Super Mario 3 usually gets the most love. Super Mario Brothers is like the most iconic one, but I feel like just the mechanics of the game, like the way you were able to stop. I feel like the first 3 Mario games, it was a little harder to control him, whereas Mario World, I think they nailed it. I feel like that was my favorite game.
I think that's my favorite Mario game.
It's definitely my favorite Mario
too.
game. It's it's up there in terms of the amount of times I've played it, beaten it, and just sunk so much of my life into it. It's not even funny. That was the first Mario game I ever played. And easily the most I played. I could beat the entire game using the secret way you beat the whole game in 20 minutes, but even playing through the whole thing, I could beat the entire game in 1 day. So that's easily number 4. My favorite Mario game. The next one would be number 3, which is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which is to this day. I own every single Zelda game, say the fake ones, the CDI ones, but and it's to this day the only one I've ever actually beaten, and that's pathetic. And it took me 10 years to beat it, or so. I didn't actually beat it until I found the internet, because I always got stuck on the 6th dungeon in the Dark World. I could never beat it, so it was a struggle, but I did. It's my favorite Zelda game, the only one I've ever beaten, and easily sunk so many hours of my life into, and I've beaten the Game Boy Advance port countless times also. It's crazy. It's probably it's definitely the Zelda game I spent the most time into. Number 2 is Smash Brothers.
Which one?
My personal favorite one still is actually the Wii U one.
The newest one?
The newest one is my favorite. It's not obviously not the one I've sunk the most time into. Long term, probably that would be Melee.
Yeah, definitely.
I think my favorite is Brawl. I love the new one, but I think Brawl is
the
best.
And it's funny because Brawl gets hate a lot. It does. I don't know why.
I don't know. I think it's because I really was bad at Melee.
No.
I'm bad at all of them.
I think Brawl was the one where I really started to turn my game around and for some reason got better. But
yeah, I've played it to the point where level 9 computer players are they're a joke. And it's not even the other day, not the other day, when the DLC came out for the Ryu, Lucas, and I think it was those two, and then Mewtwo. I teamed up with 2 of my amiibos, and I fought the 3 of them. Mm-hmm. Or no, there was 4. There was 3 DLC characters. Roy was the other one. I picked 3 of my amiibos, and I think we set it to 13 standard lives, like I always used to do. And me and all 3 of my amiibos had more than 10 lives left, and they were all destroyed.
Well, what level are your amiibos at?
Well, they're max level.
Oh, alright, so
so they're at level 50, so they have some experience, but they learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played it so much that my amiibos learned from me, and they weren't able to knock any of us out more than 3 times. We killed them all 13 times each. It wasn't even close. So I can't even play against computer players anymore. I have to play against other humans or against my amiibos. So it's when I get a real challenge out of it. But my 3DS version of the same game I've sunk over 50 hours into also. But I also got that when it came out and I had to wait till Christmas for the other one. Because, first world struggles. But that's my favorite one. I've sunk more time into Melee, but that is my favorite one, is the Wii U one. It's Brawl always gets a lot of hate. It's always ranked above the first one just because it's hard to play the first one now.
Still finding their footing, and
it's hard to play the first one now
each
after all the system advancements that have been made since N64. But
I know Melee is like really big into like the fighting scene for some odd
still,
reason.
yeah.
So there's still tournaments for that. To this day, you can. There's a event, I believe it's in Virginia, called SmashCon, and it's exactly what it sounds like. And Melee is always the featured one.
I'm surprised
it's not a poor
whole
convention.
Event, dedicated.
It's. I want to say it's in Virginia. I believe I read about it. I'm not sure. All right, so my number one game, and it's really kind of two because, well, it is two games. I'm cheating a little bit, but I can't pick. It's always been the U.S. versions, Final Fantasies 4 and 6. I feel like I've played Final Fantasy 6 less, but I like the game more. Like, I own Final Fantasy 4 like 7 times. Like, I bought it on PSP, I bought it on the DS, I bought it on the Game Boy Advance, it's on Super Nintendo, obviously. And if they remake it again, I'll buy that shit again. Like, I love that game. I played through that game far more than I've ever played through any game, ever. And I played it to the point, and I'll never forget, in the back of the game manual, on this Super Nintendo, 92, when this game came out, it says in the back of the game manual, this game should take 30 to 40 hours to complete. You can do it in under 10.
Yeah,
Skipping nothing. Because I've played the game so many times, I know what to do. There's no guessing where I'm going. Like, I know it's the same way like playing Pokemon games. You can play through, like, the first time you play through it might take you 40 hours, but then subsequent plays it gets less and less because you're not wandering around guessing.
Right.
Talking to random people.
And talking to NPCs that just say, "Oh, here's useless information."
I love
for you.
Pokemon. Do you?
Yeah, like crap like that. And there's a couple of characters in the Final Fantasy games just like that. The NPCs who just say nonsense like, "Oh, our kingdom is underground. Like you're from the I forget what they call it. The dwarves do, but
oh right.
They refer to like the ground. The people who live on the Earth's surface.
Overworld was it?
Yeah, the overworld.
I think it was Overworld.
Shit, I don't know. And then like the moon people are different. Like it's just they offer useless information. But I can skip that stuff because I know not to talk to those people, and I know it always works that way where you can get to less and less. But Final Fantasy VI, it takes me a little longer because it is a far longer game, and it's definitely my favorite game ever. No, it's not even close. But I've sunk a lot of time in Final Fantasy 2, 4, whatever.
Right.
I feel like it has to at least get mentioned. But so number one is definitely Final Fantasy VI. I've been disinterested with Final Fantasy after that. So yes, I'm a Final Fantasy VII hater. I own the game. I'm going to try it, but I remember playing it back then. I wasn't a fan when I did play it.
I enjoyed it a lot. I never completed it. I got onto the third disc, and then I got stuck on a boss fight, and I just never finished it. But I put probably 35, 40 hours into it, and it was solid. Is it the best one? No, I don't think so. But
I mean, each their own, of course.
Yeah.
But it's never compared. And I've played the only Final Fantasy I played that I really hated was 2, like the US 2 version, not the US 2.
No, you mean
Japanese 2.
Right. I never played.
They
that
put it
one.
on the Game Boy Advance package with the first one.
Right.
And
was
it's
it
just
Dawn of Souls?
Dawn of Souls, and I beat the first Final Fantasy, and I tried playing the first Final Fantasy in emulator before, the NES version, and it's interesting. Like you almost don't realize what the hell you're doing. So when they remade it for the GBA, it was a huge uptick. Made it more playable. I'd like to play it on it, but it's expensive to get a copy of it.
You bought the PSP versions off of me.
Yes. So I do have
for 1 and 2.
1 and 2 and 4 on the PSP, and I also have them on the GBA, because the first 6 Final Fantasies, with the exception of 2, are my favorite games. 5 was good. I haven't been able to beat it yet. I'm on the final boss. I'm on the final boss for like 4 years, but which is pathetic. But I'm there. But, yeah.
I actually had that problem with the first one where I got stuck on the final boss.
You know,
I
mean,
stopped playing it.
I don't know why I have such a hard time, but I did. You know, I beat 1. I didn't actually beat 3 either, but it was interesting.
I never played 3.
Yeah.
I have it on DS.
Yeah, that's the only way to get that one. Is on DS. Why didn't you get it on? You can get it on smartphones.
It's on PSP too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I just never got into it.
Yeah, right.
Played the opening dungeon or whatever.
Yeah, right. Well, if you haven't really sunk it into timing your DS, why buy it for PSP? You know, I rebought on PSP for Final Fantasy IV and all that shit because it played so many times. Or why not re-own the same game 17 times?
Right.
You know, it makes the most sense, I guess.
Not
Those are my top 5.
That's your number 1. Was the
number 1 is definitely Final
War.
Fantasy VI. You know, I mentioned 4 simply because of my weeks of life that I've spent, and if my Super Nintendo could track the time, I'd be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to admit that to another human being. But it's probably 2 to 3 weeks of actual time. If you stretched it out, you know, each playthrough is a day, so, you know, say, averaged out to a day. My first few playthroughs were probably 40 hours, and then I shrunk it to 10. Count every single one from the time I've played on the Super Nintendo until now, it's probably actually 2 or 3 months, which is pathetic. You know, and I have a lot of games. My 3DS tracks the time, and the first, like, 5 or 6 games are all over 50 hours. And I've only had my 3DS for, like, 3.5 years. And, you know, I had 55 hours of Smash Brothers, like 65 of Fire Emblem Awakening, which is another amazing game. I know it was in the strategy RPG thing, but...
What did you think? I know you played it.
Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
I really liked it a lot. I only played Awakening. I haven't played any of the other games.
Yeah. Good luck and have your wallet open, because I did buy all of the old ones, and I think the cheapest one was Shadow Dragon, which was DS, which was actually a remake of the Super Nintendo ones that never got released here, and I think that was $35.
Oh, wow.
And the 2 Game Boy Advance games were $45 or so, one of which was also a remake. Maybe that was the remake. I don't remember. The GameCube one was like $70. Radiant Dawn was the Wii one, and that one was $80-ish.
There's a new one coming out next year.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Fates. Yeah.
Which, yes, I'm looking forward to.
There's also the crossover between that and...
was it Shin Megami Tensei?
Yeah.
Which I've never played.
Isn't that... Okay. Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. Not the same thing? Or are they the same thing?
I think they're the same thing.
They are the same thing. Okay,
yes.
I get so confused by that. Like, I can never tell. Like,
I think so. Don't take my word on it.
Is Persona an offshoot, or is it the other way around, or is it the same universe? I don't know.
I've only played Persona 4 Golden, so I can't really say.
And
that's a wonderful game. If you have a Vita, that is a must-play game.
It's one of the few Vita games that I don't own.
Is it on
yes.
Because I'm out.
I think you would like it.
Wasn't it on PS4?
It's a PS2 game, actually.
Did we have a Persona game on the PS3?
No.
Why do I feel like that?
Persona 5 is coming out.
Oh, wasn't it like
PS3
Persona something Arena or some crap like that?
Oh, yeah, Arena and Arena Ultimax were PS3 games. Yeah.
Okay, then maybe that's something.
Yeah, those are fighting games. That's like an offshoot. They actually have a new one coming out, Dancing All Night. I'm sure
I don't give a shit about that.
No, I don't either. That's coming out
that's the stupidest thing ever.
In, September 29th.
Yeah.
One of the few Vita games of the fall lineup.
But hey, if people are into that, all the more power to them.
Yeah, Greg Miller, very excited about it. Talks about it all the time.
I know.
But yeah, Persona is a series I never even tried, and I'm constantly hearing about how amazing it is.
I was iffy on it also, and then I started playing it, and I could not stop. I was like non-stop playing it.
Yeah. So I'm on the fence, and you can just easily buy the game for $20, so physical. So I'm gonna do that.
I poured like easily 70 hours in that game.
Wow,
it's a long game, so prepare to get
invested. It's more
invested.
like a high school social dating simulator in a way, but I know there's some dungeon crawling involved.
There's a lot of dungeon crawling.
Okay,
it's like turn-based dungeon crawling, social simulator.
Okay, I think it's a game on my short list of 10 to 15 Vita games that I have yet to try.
Mm-hmm.
So, Danganronpa also on my list. So, the new one looks awesome. The third one, which is
the third one, or are you talking about
not the third one?
the girl,
the offshoot. Ultra Despair Balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming out in September.
Yeah, I'm
as well.
interested in that.
I watched. They did a Let's Play on Kind of Funny. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shooter, not
Yeah,
visual
it's
novel, so
yeah.
I was like, that's freaking awesome. I'll play that one first. Okay, so let's hop into my top 5 games. I didn't rank them, so I'm kind of doing it on the fly, and I think I'm going to second guess myself as I go along.
Yeah, I did too.
So I'm going to rank them and probably change my mind midway through. I want to start off with the honorable mentions first that didn't make the top 5. NFL 2K1 on a Dreamcast.
Yeah.
That is one of those games that I spent an absurd amount of time with, hundreds upon hundreds of hours, because Dreamcast was really the only thing I had growing up outside of the Super Nintendo, and I was obsessed with it. Obviously, I'm a huge sports fan, huge football fan, best sport out of all of them, if you ask me, and so many hours just doing fantasy drafts. And there was a workaround where you could create yourself and get yourself in the fantasy draft. But then if you didn't draft yourself, or someone else drafted you first, then you had to start over. And, or the trading system was easily exploitable.
Oh yeah, you just sign a bunch of offensive linemen in the '70s, and you could just trade them for anybody.
Trade up. You could trade a 77 for a 79, and then trade to 79 for an 81, and you just go up. And your team was
you had a team of 99s and 95s.
And the funny thing about that game too is I was actually Wikipediaing a lot of these dudes that were highly rated during that game. There was a running back, Curtis Keaton. From the Bengals. He later played for the Saints, but he only played 2 or 3 years. But in the game, he had a low rating. But as you progressed in your franchise mode, he would boost up into the mid-90s every time.
Did, yeah.
So they just had a system in place for dudes they thought that were going to get better, and they just didn't. Michael Basnight was another guy, Bengals running back, also who was in the mid-90s all the time, same deal, 3 or 4 year career, and just never went anywhere. Shout out to NFL 2K1, amazing game. 2K and 2K2 also look very good, but 2K1 my personal favorite. Also, another Dreamcast title for my honorable mentions is Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Oh yeah,
so many hours. My 3-member team there was always Hayato as my lead guy. I had Cyclops and Cable in there as well, and I would throw in Strider Hiryu as well as an interchangeable guy. That was always my team.
It's a little scary that you remember that, but now you mention it,
I would play with anyone.
I was always a fan of Venom, and I forget the
Venom was great.
What's the cactus guy? His name?
Amingo?
Mingo.
Yeah, I always use Venom, and Gambit was another one of my favorites.
Gambit was also really good.
I tended to use Wolverine once in a while for the speed aspect. But
any character who had a strong reliance on projectiles was a pretty safe bet as someone you want in your team. Like the other guys mentioned, I had Cable and Cyclops, and Cable had an awesome special move. Just pull his gun out and they would shoot all across the screen. The specials, I don't know if they called them specials, but whatever they called them were really awesome. Where you would pull the 2 triggers and then do some crazy move and build up your meter and stuff. And I actually am not a fighting game guy by any means, but that game was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was never into the Capcom universe, but the Marvel had some pretty awesome characters in game. Venom was also really cool. Spider-Man, not so much.
Not in the game anyway.
I'm trying to remember. The biggest, the most amazing thing for there was just unlocking things, where I would just play the arcade mode over and over and over and over again, and then just you build up the points that you spend on new characters and new skins and stuff, and then when I actually rebought the game,
PSN, right?
Nick Castellanos just homered. Tie game, right? 1-1.
Distraction.
We're watching the Tigers game in the back. But anyway.
I never had a Dreamcast, so I got it on 360 when it was on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah. I bought the PS3 version from PlayStation Store. And the unfortunate part of that, though, was that they had everything unlocked from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that aggravated me because that was one of the biggest things that I enjoyed about the original release was that you had to grind to get everything, and it just made it gave the game so much more longevity, and
Right.
made you want to keep coming back. So the last of my honorable mentions list is Super Mario RPG. What is that? 7 stars, something
Legend
or
of
other.
7 Stars.
Legend of 7 Stars. Super Nintendo. Awesome game that I've played through maybe only twice. I'm waiting for them to remaster it at some point. I really thought they were going to do that on the DS, and it never happened.
I think it's a licensing thing with them because I believe an outside company helped them make that.
They have the money to do that. They can make it happen. I wouldn't be
guess there's
surprised
not enough
that
clamoring for it.
we see the either remake or remaster on the NX. Throw it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a game that makes sense to remake. Anyway.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, exactly. So that was an awesome game with some really cool characters from this guy's name, the marionette guy, Gino, was it?
Yeah,
Gino.
Gino.
With the blue hat. And so there were some, and Mallow.
So
There were some characters in there that I believe, were first entering the Mario universe that were pretty cool.
And have
new.
never re-entered.
And, that's just something that you would think that by now they would have re-entered the fray in some game, in some capacity, but they haven't. So they've had some really cool characters in that game specifically. One of my personal favorites from my childhood. So now, the official top 5 list. Devin McCann, Salted Coffee Podcast official list. Top 5 games ever.
Official.
Start with, like I said, I don't really have them ranked. I'm just kind of going on the fly. I'm going to put Uncharted 2 as number 5.
Okay.
Uncharted 3, equally as good. So it's kind of a toss-up as to which one is better. But I kind of went into it blind. I actually borrowed the game from a friend of my wife's at the time. Might have been a family member even, where they just like, oh, this game's cool, gave it a try. And I was like, oh, cool, whatever. I never heard of it. And I dove in, and just awesome.
Did you ever play the first one?
Yes.
I heard that wasn't as good, but
yeah. Out of all 4 of them, if you include Golden Abyss in there, the first one and Golden Abyss are pretty much the same.
okay.
Minus the shoehorned in touch stuff with the machete.
Oh.
You beat the game, right? You
Yeah.
beat Golden Abyss. So like they had some forced gimmicky stuff that showed off
the rubbings,
Vita.
the stone rubbings.
Yeah, the stone rubbings. The
I
one
love
thing,
that. I thought it was good.
it was actually cool, yeah, because you consider the universe and the characters that you're playing as. So, like, that was cool. The problem I had was there was one where you had to take the Vita and you hold the camera up to a bright light.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
That was a pain in the
terrible.
ass.
I was at work and I was going to the bathroom, putting it up on the ceiling, and, like, I couldn't, it was so aggravating. That was...
You had to stand up on the toilet seat.
Yeah. Because I was like, you can't progress if you don't do it.
Right.
So I was like, well, what the hell? Like, I'm gonna break, and like, it was a pain in the ass. And but a good game otherwise. Although that in particular, some of that gimmicky stuff that was showing off the Vita hardware, that was poorly implemented. So I wouldn't be surprised we see a port of that on PS4 at some point. But Uncharted 2, that was my introduction to the series. That's why it stands out. Just a fun cover-based shooter with witty banter and great lead character. Some solid supporting cast. Nolan North is the man.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to play them once they come onto the Nathan Drake collection.
Yeah. When is that? Like October or so?
Yeah.
Actually, that is an example of a game that's a remaster that I will go back and play again because those are so good. Uncharted 2. You have the Uncharted games, but you haven't played them yet.
I did play the first one a little bit. I enjoyed.
Yeah, Drake's Fortune is easily like the worst of the bunch. Like that was just the typical like.
Yeah.
It was 2007 or so. Like it
Somewhere
was
around
like a launch window game. It wasn't. Graphics weren't really that mind blowing, and it's kind of some of the textures were muddy.
Nonetheless, I
still a good game.
I don't play games for the graphics. So.
Yeah,
but I did enjoy it.
It was an enjoyable game. Yeah.
And I believe you and I actually played through the co-op in Uncharted 3.
And I believe we started to we lost on like the first map or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like we struggled down for some reason.
Yeah, I mean
maybe it was a connection we had. I don't know.
I don't think so. It was just more of it's like learning to ride a bike again. You just kind of hop back into it, and like I didn't really get used to the controls of it. Like having the reload mapped to the triggers was odd. That's a weird design choice that they made. But I guess the normal reload button would be square, and that was the melee button. But whatever.
You learn.
Yeah, even if you adapt. But yeah, Uncharted 2 is number 5. So moving on. Number 4 is actually your number 1, Shane, which was Final Fantasy 4 and 6.
Okay.
Which I was going to put separately, and then I combined into one.
Because I cheated too.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think 6 is obviously the more fleshed out game. Well, but 4 has probably more meaning to me personally because I've beaten it more, played it way more. It was the one I played first, and also it was a game I played during my childhood, which gives it more of a nostalgic value to me. So 4 and 6 equally as good in terms of gameplay and stuff. 6 introduced a lot more new mechanics like espers and different summons and having way more characters, way more playable characters. Amazing ending boss fight, although 4 is awesome. I love the Zero Mist theme song.
Yeah.
For the end battle, that's amazing. I listen to it kind of regularly, which is sad. It's just such an epic, MIDI track.
Yeah.
So a lot of game music from the late 80s, early 90s is really iconic. I think that should be thrown in there. So we'll leave it at that for the Final Fantasies, so we're not beating the dead horse. All right, so we did 5. Okay, that was number 4. Number 3 is God of War 2. 2 was actually the first one that I played, my introduction to the series. I played it on your recommendation, actually. And it was a game that blew me away because it was one of the first PS2 games I played. I actually didn't have a PS2 until around 2007 or 8.
Wow.
And it was a present for Christmas from you, along with Madden 08, and then I bought a couple of games.
Madden 08.
Madden 08.
Timeless classic.
Vince Young on the cover. And then my mom bought me God of War 2 because she knew he was getting that. And it was on sale at Circuit City for $7.99 on Black Friday. So I went and picked it up. And
again, dating ourselves.
I had a bit of a hibernation from games where, like...
I remember in high school you weren't into games at all, really.
2001, somebody just homered again. And it was a Red Sox player, it's David Ortiz. Damn. I just like the balance that it strikes with platforming and action and combat and adventure and storytelling and puzzle solving. And it was just a perfect game in terms of blending all those different types of games. So it really blew me away. Even the graphics for a PS2 game. Obviously, like I said, it was late in the PS2 game, so they really maximized the hardware. But for a PS2 game, it's amazing. That and Final Fantasy 12 was also an amazing looking PS2 game for its time. I can't say like I haven't gone back and gone into it, but I remember like that opening cutscene really blew me away. But anyway, God of War 2. So Final Fantasy 12, no, not on the list. Not even close. And I lied. Actually, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was supposed to be my number 5. So
whatever.
So the 5 Marvel vs. Capcom 2, then Final Fantasy 4 and 6 is number 4. Uncharted 2 is number 3. God of War is number 2, and then number 1 is Last of Us.
Hell yeah!
Man.
So no doubt in my mind about that one. Just a incredible game that just is so enthralling, and just a great world, great universe. It had exploration where you wanted to look at everything. It didn't feel like a chore that you were just looking around for collectibles. You wanted to look at the sign. Yeah. I mean, it did have collectibles. Obviously,
it did,
most games do. But like the one thing about that in terms of collectibles, since you mentioned it, is that their collectibles added to the world. There were usually notes left behind from other people who had died. Or they were Firefly pendants, and you'd see basically which is like a dog tag, basically. someone's name on it, and then like you would come across a note like in the next building that explained how they died or something, and like the struggle that they went through, or different struggles that people went through when their friends were infected, and like explaining like how it was so devastating and how they had to put them down and stuff. And it really lends a lot of realism to that, and a lot of humanism and emotion. Not only just that, but like just it was a place you wanted to explore and experience. And the shooting mechanics were not the best. There was a lot of sway to the reticle, which was intentional. I know they wanted that.
Make it more realistic.
Yeah. So like there could be someone rushing at you 10 feet away, and then you miss them.
The crafting system's a little simplistic.
It was, but
It was alright.
I kind of prefer that personally because like it wasn't too in depth. If you found some alcohol and whatever, you'd make a Molotov cocktail or something. Like it was simple and easy. It was intuitive. So, and like they had collectibles where like you could find training manuals to upgrade your stats.
Yeah.
And and I think the biggest part of that game, which can't be understated, is the relationship between Joel and Ellie, and how obviously his daughter, what happens to her with Sarah, and then basically taking Ellie. Like they have a dynamic where they clearly don't like each other in the beginning, and then they evolve as people as time goes on, and they encounter different situations. And like I don't want to give too much away, but
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a masterpiece of a game, beginning to end. Great pacing, great combat, great mixtures of everything. I don't even. It's a game that leaves me almost speechless. That it is so good. It is easily the best game ever made. I think that it's hands down. No,
True that.
no comparison ever. And I think it'll be a long time before we see something really top that. Because obviously Naughty Dog is moving on to Uncharted 4, and no matter how good Uncharted 4 is, that's going to be probably a 9.5 game at the minimum, on average outlets, scores, and Metacritic. Even if that scores a perfect 10, it's still not going to touch what The Last of Us did. I wonder if that's their peak.
I don't think so. I think what Naughty Dog does, they're at the top of their game with just like game design and just storytelling.
Yeah.
I really think it's going to elevate video games as an art form in general.
Yeah. I would like to see that be true, and like I think their next 2 games or so will be really telling to see how much they've evolved. So, because Uncharted 4, I kind of have to write off as it's a guaranteed success, no matter what they do with it. So, because it's an established property already. So in The Last of Us 2 will be kind of the same deal, where like we had mentioned like that if they leave it off where it is and they just don't, it's a one-off thing and they don't go back to it. Like if they make The Last of Us 2, then people will be comparing it to the original, and that's a tough sell.
It's an inevitability with that.
Yeah, and people will say, oh, well, they did this and they did that and they changed this system, and they're putting themselves in some difficult territory there. So I'd be interested to see if they're not going to do Last of Us 2, if they're going to make something completely brand new outside of Last of Us and Uncharted.
They're going to remake Crash Bandicoot.
They're not going to do that. No chance. I think Crash is dead. Activision.
Good God, when was the last time you had a Crash game? PS1?
No, like 360, PS3.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, they had
I was never in
a Mind Over Mutant and Crash of the Titans.
Twin Sanity.
Twin Sanity on PS2.
That was the last game I
have all
played.
of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right, it was like that PS2 GBA. I know they had a couple
Yeah,
of GBA games.
They had some mashups with Spyro.
Yep. I remember, yeah.
On Game Boy Advance.
I don't know how well received they were, but they did.
Oh, I don't know.
They existed.
I honestly, I have it and I don't even remember what it's called. Sorry, I think Crash is dead. I think you'll see him licensed into some sort of game like Smash Brothers. He's owned by Activision.
Maybe PS All Stars if they make
Or, if they ever did a PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale
I think
too.
it's more likely than a Smash Brothers intro, but
Or like a new party game. Like I don't know. He's something that you'll see that they just throw him into the fray. I don't think he'll be the star of the game anytime soon.
Just to say, hey, he's
like they did with Spyro. They did that with Spyro's Adventure for Skylanders. And then when that took off, they just made it Skylanders, and they just were like, no, screw Spyro, fuck him. He was still in the game, but like they weren't promoting it as he's like the feature star.
They had said repeatedly, "This is not a Spyro game. It's just Spyro is in it."
Right.
Kind of.
And I think that it's kind of a shame because they really could have taken that and made a separate Spyro reboot, and it would have done well because Skylanders did so well.
Yeah. And Spyro was
and
an established
really
property, that's for sure. And
yeah, it could have brought back like video game mascots and colorful characters back into the,
which doesn't really exist anymore.
Forefront of people's minds. Yeah, it's gone.
You have Mario and you have Sonic still lingering around.
He's more just iconic for Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
So
you see Mario, it's Nintendo. Period.
Right. Now people are thinking Sonic is Sega.
Right.
Sonic is really Nintendo basically.
It's sad now. It's sad now because like a lot of times you could actually probably tell people now like Sonic is Sega and they'd be like, what's Sega?
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. Is it that bad? Maybe with the younger generation, it's that bad.
Like I couldn't go to my son and say Sonic is Sega. He'd be like, what?
Sonic, I think, will just he'll be swallowed up by Nintendo. They obviously already had an exclusive deal to create the 3 games, which Lost World and
Sonic
Boom, and now the new one is coming out in the fall. So like that's their deal. So I wonder they can't have had too much success with that though.
I guess it's just to get it made. Like with
pretty much.
Like,
kind of one of those
was,
things they need someone to.
Everybody was mad when Bayonetta 2 when it came to the Wii U.
Well, Sega was a publisher. I don't see why they couldn't do it themselves.
Well, I guess they couldn't get the funding for it. I'm guessing since it was I don't know. That's my only guess is that maybe they presented the idea to Sony and Microsoft and they said first one didn't sell too well, and Nintendo was like,
I doubt it.
Shit.
They probably went straight to Nintendo because they know
Possibly.
Nintendo is family friendly and they have a character mascot,
which is not family friendly.
Sonic.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bayonetta still.
Oh no.
I've never heard Bayonetta family friendly.
No, I meant Sonic.
Sonic, yes, Sonic is more. But
Bayonetta was cool. I never finished the first one, but
yeah, I have Bayonetta.
That's good shit.
Did you finish it?
Mm-hmm.
Both of them?
Both of them, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
I
Are you
the first one.
guys gonna buy Devil's Third when it comes out?
I'm interested in it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I don't know much about it.
Yeah. I heard that it's not reviewing very well. People aren't.
I probably won't.
It'll be one of those things I pick up one day as a budget title. It's not something I'll pick up at launch.
Yeah. You can assume it's $50-$60 at least.
I'm
so,
sure it's probably.
And I would imagine because it's been in development for so long that it's probably got a 6-hour campaign with the multiplayer, and so it's not something you're going to get a ton of value out of.
You never know.
I think it looks cool.
It does.
It is one of maybe 5 games that if I owned a Wii U, I'd play, along with Bayonetta and Mario Kart and Smash. And Splatoon. So those are my 5 Wii U games that I would play if I had one.
I still have to get Splatoon.
Yeah, me too.
I would like to. I've heard great things.
I'm waiting for it to go down in price.
I'm not even waiting for that. I'm just waiting to have the extra money. Disposable income.
I need time. I don't have enough time to play everything.
When you have children.
Anyways.
But, yeah.
Devin.
Yep.
Do you want to take us out?
Yeah. So, thank you everyone for joining us here today on Salted Coffee Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you check us out in the future.
We'll probably have other Gamecast episodes.
Oh, definitely
in the future.
Yeah, we're huge gamers here, so next time Justin and Paul Z can come on and share their thoughts with us. But yeah, so this has been fun. Harp is delicious. I'm a fan.
Back to Harp.
Back to Harp. So if you want to consume more Salted Coffee Podcast content, you can follow us on Twitter at Salted Coffee Pod. You can find us on Facebook, Salted Coffee Podcast, of course. We also have an Instagram account, which we don't use, so it's up to you if you want to go there.
I'm starting to upload pictures from my vacation in Scotland, which I'll talk about that trip.
Yeah, we're saving that for the next episode in the next week or two.
But if you want to check it out, I'm going to start uploading more pictures there. I think we should start using it more.
We should. Also, it's good for memes.
It is.
Yeah, it exists. We have an account.
It exists. It's there.
It's on there if you want to follow it. We don't post that often, to be honest, but it's there. Also, What else are we on? We're going to be on YouTube soon.
Yeah, I'm working on
We're working on some
exporting
technical
some
difficulties.
just static image videos because we don't have a video camera yet.
So if you care to consume us on YouTube as opposed to SoundCloud, that's a regular platform, we have also kind of looked into iTunes. We'll maybe get there one day, but probably not anytime in the near future. Check us out on SoundCloud. Obviously, you're already doing that if you're listening to it. So check out our previous episodes. We have 2 others.
2 others.
So please do that. If you want to follow me personally, you can do that at Hunkalicious on Twitter. So, yeah, just do that. It's an awesome name. King of the Hunks.
Now I'm at Beacon Designs.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck trying to find everyone else.
They don't exist because they're lamos.
They're on Facebook, so
Yeah.
They are.
go. Please bother them because it'll piss them off and it'll be hilarious.
Yeah, I don't use any of that.
Tell
stuff.
them that you missed them on this episode, and that they were sorely missed.
Mm.
And then you just make fun of them relentlessly.
Because why
Because
not?
they enjoy that. There's a funny meme of Justin and his vegetarianism.
I tried sharing that on the page. I couldn't.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
That sucks. We'll have to get on there.
I could just. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
I actually went on, through the Page Manager app and I posted something like, "Oh, what is everyone playing this week?" And I got no responses. And I looked at it because it tracks the views, and it was like 5 views. I was like, "Wow!" But then the one before it, which was where we were promoting episode 2, had like 300 and change views. And I was like,
Because
"Man,
we're all sharing it, that post.
that's true."
That's how it works.
I didn't do that. I gotta get on that.
You need to get your
Social media,
It's there.
still getting used to it.
It's there.
I'm young.
It's working.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways,
So, yeah, that's our show. Thanks for joining us. We hope you continue to listen. Share with your friends. Tell everyone how awesome we are, or the opposite, how much we sucked. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, grievances, please air them. We are always looking for feedback, preferably constructive feedback that we can actually use. So, thanks.
all right. See ya.
Yep.
Right.
Bye.